Hello, everybody. My name is Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and we are live for another Argentina discussion. I'm joined by Osvaldo Godoy, also of Mundo Albiceleste.com. And as always, everybody, welcome. We are here to discuss the Argentina national team, the November World Cup qualifiers, the players called up, the players injured, and the players maybe who missed out that should have been called up. So as always, we're here. Let's get it started. Let us know down below where you're watching from. We tend to get from all around the world. First things first, Osvaldo, how are you? How is everything?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this double match day of Argentina, the last one of the year of 2024. And I'm excited to talk about different names that were on this list, some names that were not in this list. And there's a lot to talk about in every single position. So I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a lot from the goalkeepers to the defenders to the midfielders to the forwards. There's a lot to get to. And before we get to all of that, let's take a look at the chat. Very lively chat. As always, everybody, thank you for joining us. BC, welcome. Left Coast Lefty, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Paro Miguel. Hola, Paro Miguel. How are you? Big up to you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. We also have Danielle watching us all the way from Malaysia. We're Thursday morning in Malaysia, so good morning to you, and thank you for joining us on this hopefully beautiful Thursday morning. Osvaldo, you had mentioned that there's a lot to get to, a lot of the players, right? Who has been called up, who hasn't been called up, and let's get to that. I think that's the first thing we should kind of get to. Let's take a look at the list. Argentina playing, playing Paraguay and they're playing Peru. And let's bring this up here. Let's bring up the players that have been called up for these matches. And if we take a look, in the goalkeepers, we have Emiliano Martinez, who returns. Walter Benitez keeps his spot. Geronimo Rulli also called up, so no Juan Musso. In the defense, in back line, we have Gonzalo Montiel, Nahuel Molina, Cuti Romero, Germán Pazzella, Leo Balerdi, Nicolas Otamendi. Nahuel Perez returns. Lisandro Martinez and Nico Tagliafico. Midfield, Enzo Fernandez, Leandro Paredes, Ezequiel Palacios, Rodrigo De Paul, Alexis McAllister. Gio Lo Celso is back after missing out due to injury. Enzo Barrenechea of Valencia gets his first ever call-up to the national team. Thiago Almada, Facundo Buenanote, Nicolas Paz, Lionel Messi, Alejandro Garnacho, Julian Alvarez, Nicolas Gonzalez, who is going to miss out, and we're going to get to that, Lautaro Martinez, and Tati Valentin Castellanos. We're going to get to the chat in just a minute. Right off the bat, Osvaldo, what do you think of this list?
I like it overall. It's most of the same kind of names that we had in the last couple of called ups. Some names like Enzo Barrenechea, first called up. Also the reappearance of Nehuen Perez, and some names that have been there for a while, and that some of us might think that it's their time to maybe give the place to another, maybe new players or youngsters. Like it might be the case of Marco Senesi. We're gonna talk about all those players that were left out, and I think that they might have a chance in the future, in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully, they get some chances. We're seeing a lot of different faces that Scaloni's beginning to introduce all over kind of the team. And let us know down below in the chat what you guys think of this team. Speaking of which, let's get to the chat. Pablo Miguel, I'm not happy with some players on the list. I know this list kind of split a lot of the fan base in terms of specific players called up. So I don't believe you're the only one, Pablo Miguel. Tarun Chowdhury, good morning from India. Good morning. Hope you're having a great Thursday morning to you. We have Joel Constantine. Hello from Texas. Hello, all the way from Texas. Thank you for spending your Wednesday afternoon with us, Joel. Much appreciated. We have BC, Argentina 2-1, France today, and Atletico versus PSG. We can talk a little bit about that as well. Paul Codner watching from Miami, Florida. BC talking about the Champions League. 2 Argentine players scored. Pablo Miguel, Varela, Senesi deserve to be called up. Those were the 2 big names that a lot of people were kind of clamoring for, to get called up. And Daniel saying, hope 6 points from both games. And Varun, hello, Varun. Thank you for joining us. If I'm not mistaken, from Ontario, Canada. Now, Osvaldo, let's get to some news that broke in regards to this list from one current Juventus player to another former Juventus player. Nicolas Gonzalez, not fit for Juventus, did not take part in their Champions League game yesterday in the Champions League. Injured, got called up by Scaloni, ultimately dropped. And no Paulo Dybala either. Do you think Dybala maybe replaces Nico Gonzalez? What do you think happens here? And let us know down below, everybody in the chat, if there are any Juventus fans with us. How are you liking Nico Gonzalez so far?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's a good decision, the one of not risking Nico Gonzalez. He really haven't been playing with Juventus because of this injury. It wouldn't make any sense to risk him with the national team in these couple of matches that are not so important for Argentina. It's good to maintain, that good relationship with a club like Juventus. Let him in Europe, recover from his injury, and we'll have him in the future because Nico Gonzalez proved to be a really important game man for Argentina, especially in the game of the final against Colombia. I don't think Dybala should replace Nico Gonzalez. Not because Dybala is not a great player. He is. I think he really is. I think that right now I would go with a different type of player. If you ask me, and well, I also asked the chat and you, Roy, I would go with Angel Correa instead of Nico Gonzalez. I think that a player like Dybala, in this list, we have too many players of his characteristics. Again, Dybala is a fantastic player, but we have Messi that it's a lefty that can play as a right winger or behind the forward, right? Kind of what Dybala does. Copas, other side, also a lefty. Thiago Almada is not a lefty, but he can also play behind the number 9. Facundo Buenanote, another lefty that can play in that right wing or behind the number 9. What I'm trying to say is that we have too many in that position, and Nico Gonzalez is mostly used by Scaloni as a left winger. I think we should try to replace Nico Gonzalez with a player that could play in that position instead of bringing Dybala, who we would have too many players with that characteristic.
No, I understand what you mean. I completely understand what you mean, and I do agree with you. And it looks like Padre Miguel also agrees with you, saying Dybala should not replace Nico, in my opinion. We have a lot of similar players, right, on the team, and you want someone maybe not that Dybala is not versatile, but like you just said, we have a lot of players that play a similar role to Dybala and what he would bring to the national team. Anybody who knows me, especially in these videos, I'm a big Nico Gonzalez fan, always have been. I'm a massive Angel Correa fan as well. I think he absolutely deserves to be called up, and I think he's being underutilized with Atletico Madrid. I'm with you on that, Osvaldo. I'm all for calling up Angel Correa. Scored a great goal today for Atletico Madrid versus PSG. 2 Argentine players scored, Molina and Correa. And he has that experience. He's versatile, can play on the wing, can play as a center forward, can play as a striker. Very, very versatile, has that experience, as I mentioned. Again, nothing against Dybala, and it's crazy that we're here discussing and saying, well, yeah, Dybala's good, but maybe he shouldn't be on the team right now. And that's how deep this Argentina team is, and it's a good problem to have.
And you want to know something? If, let's say, Angel Correa doesn't go, I would go with someone that can play in that left side. We're going to talk about every position in the list, but we don't have a second left, like natural left back. We only have Nicolas Tagliafico, Marcos Acuna is out, and Nico Gonzalez, who was I think 1 or 2 matches played by Scaloni in that left side as a left back or left wing. He's not going to be there. So if you ask me, I would even take Valentin Barco as a replacement of Nico Gonzalez.
I mean, look, it depends, of course. It depends on the position you're looking for. Valentin Barco, obviously the left back. Nico Gonzalez has played as a left back or left wing back for Argentina. It's going to be very interesting to see who Scaloni picks as a replacement, if there is one ultimately that is picked. But I think there will be. I mean, we're about 2 weeks away or so, or a week and a half away from the first set of qualifiers. Barco's another good shout. You look at the team, no Marcos Acuna. He's not there, and Tagliafico is going to be there. Lisandro Martinez is there, but a good shout for Valentin Barco. there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of different ways that Scaloni can go with. A lot of different players that he can approach. And if we take a look at the chat, Paro Miguel, Facundo Buonanotte, and Nico Pass are world beaters. That they are. At least Nico Pass. I'm very, very big on Pass. Buonanotte is slowly growing in the Premier League, especially this season. Varun, I would like some change in midfield. I love Paredes, but he doesn't even play for Roma. Scaloni should give Varela a shout. I still question why Barco is not getting called up. There you go, Osvaldo, another Valentin Barco fan looking to get him called up. And Paro Miguel, Julio Soler should be called up as a left back. Barco has been on the bench for some games. We'll see. Soler got called up for the September World Cup qualifiers and wasn't called up in October. We're seeing some changes. We're seeing some changes in this team, but maybe in the future. Talking about the future, Osvaldo, two young players. First one getting his first call up. Another one in and out of the team. What do you think of this?
I think Enzo Barrenechea is playing a lot of minutes in Valencia. He's doing a good job. There, his team is not really having great performances, but in that midfield, he's been the best player, I would say. I was surprised by this one because we talk about, yes, we have a lot of good players. Enzo Barrenechea is a great player, but I thought that maybe Varela or even Eki Fernandez would have been called up instead of Barrenechea. But again, we're talking about really good players with a lot of future. You know that actually Barrenechea, when Scaloni's first coaching experience with Argentina was, I'm sure you remember, in the under 20 La Alcudia tournament. I think it was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, right after the World Cup. And in his first list, Barrenechea was there. And even though he didn't really play many minutes, because as a defensive midfielder, Scaloni used a lot Fausto Vera. Again, we're talking about a player that was kind of with Scaloni from the beginning in that first tournament. So I'm sure Scaloni knows him well.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of that. That's very, very. You're going deep. That's very smart, Osvaldo. Yeah, it's true. He was part of that Alcudia team, the team that won the tournament over in Spain, in Valencia, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of the region where generally it's played. And good for him. 23 years old. He was at Juventus last season or the season before. Was doing okay. Went on loan at Aston Villa. Didn't play. I mean, he's signed to Aston Villa, but he's on loan over at Valencia, and he's doing well. One of their better players, as you said. Valencia not enjoying a great spell, but he's been shining through. And credit to him. I'm very, very happy to see him in the team. I don't know if I would go as far as to say, as you mentioned, someone like Eki Fernandez. I don't know if he's out of the radar, at least for now, playing in Saudi Arabia. But someone like Enzo, I thought could be in the team. Varela, I thought definitely could be in the team. Buonanotte looks to be getting back into the fold, especially with Leicester. He's been doing very well, scored a couple of goals this season, and overall, just he's performing. He's very, very much performing. So good on him. I'm happy with this. Two youngsters, and why not get them to train, get them to grow with the national team.
And out of those players with the same characteristics that we were talking before, lefties who can play as a right wing, Buonanotte, compared to those that were not called up, like Dybala and Solé, I think that Buonanotte out of those three has been the best in the last month or so.
Absolutely. Buonanotte is arguably playing at a higher level league. Nothing against Serie A, just Premier League is the Premier League. And out of those three, as you mentioned, I think he's in the best form. Matthias Soulé was arguably in better form last season. Start of this season started off well, and then maybe not so much for Roma. And Dybala, I mean, with all the injuries and everything, he's inconsistent in terms of his form due to his injuries, not because of his talent, of course. And yeah, out of those three, he's the best. He's the most informed. He's definitely the most informed.
No, and Roma is not doing well at all in this area.
No, this has not been a good season for them. Funny enough, I'm just thinking now about Enzo, another Juventus player. So there's some big Juventus connections in the national team in the month of November. And Paulo Miguel, there you go. Scaloni knows him. He knows him. All right. Now, continuing on and talking about a player that you mentioned earlier, Marcos Acuna. No Acuna, he's out. So essentially, we have Lisandro, we have Nico Tagliafico. That's about it. That could play left back. Are you surprised with this one, Osvaldo, considering Acuna's fitness this season, River Plate, and everything going on with them?
Yeah. So I was surprised about this one for sure. I thought at first that was because he was not fully fit. River Plate is playing right now. They're about to get into halftime. They're losing 1-0, which makes me happy because I'm a big Boca Juniors fan. And Marcos Acuna is playing. There were a lot of rumors that he was not going to start today's match, but he's playing. He's starting. So I'm guessing that it's a decision based on football, not about his fitness, and it surprises me a lot. More taking into consideration that he haven't like Scaloni didn't take any other natural left back. Yes, Lisandro Martinez is playing some matches as a left back with Manchester United, but it surprised me the idea of Scaloni just taking one left back.
Yeah, that is surprising. That is surprising. Let us know, everybody in the chat. What do you guys think of this? No Marcos Acuna. I know a lot of people kind of want Acuna among other players as well out of the team. I don't know. This could be something where if we get some more injuries, maybe Acuna does get called up in the team, or to the team rather. But if we look at the players that have been called up, there's a lot of versatile defenders within this team, and we're going to talk a little bit about them coming up. I'm surprised, and Argentina, you have Barco, you have Soler. Other than that, as pure left backs, we're not that deep. Argentina is not that deep when it comes to fullbacks, left back, or right back. So it's a little bit surprising, in my opinion, that Acuna has not been called up for these two matches here in November.
Yes, because I mean you can think that okay, Acuna moved to the Argentinian football, which is not the same level as the big European leagues, of course, but at the same time you see Germán Petzela, who is there. So yeah, it's at least it's weird Acuna not being in this not being called up this time.
Yeah. No, for sure it is. For sure it is. It's weird again, especially considering the lack of left backs within the team. That absolutely is. Let's take a look at some of the comments. John, welcome, John, all the way from Malaysia. Good morning, my friend. It's nice to see several young names in the squad, but how much will we see them in action considering this is a World Cup qualifier, so a competitive match? Very valid point. We've spoken about it in the past. I think Scaloni is going to give the youngsters a chance in training, maybe not as much during the match until Argentina is fully qualified, but I mean, Buonanotti's gotten some minutes lately. Nicolas, we saw how brilliant he was coming off the bench versus Bolivia, playing very, very well. So Scaloni might surprise us. You never know. He might surprise us there. Taking a look, Varun saying Barco or Soler over Acuna. Welcome. Aini Maisano. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Saying disappointed with Acuna being out. Cam XP saying, wow. Osvaldo, question for you. Thoughts about the no promotions or relegations in the Argentine league? Really quickly.
I don't like it. I think that they changed the rules of the tournament in the middle of the tournament, which makes it totally non-professional. The league is gonna be having 30, I think 30 teams. And in this one, I think there's like 28 teams and no relegation. So imagine how many of those. There's already a lot of teams that are fighting for nothing at this point, and it's not good for the tournament. It's not good for Argentina football, but and it's kind of weird how uh, if you ask to 99% of the fans in Argentina will tell you yes, this tournament is bad. I don't know why we have 30 teams instead of 20 really competitive teams, and on the other hand, the directives of the clubs just think on themselves, on the clubs. If you give an opportunity to one of those teams that are fighting for relegation to not fight for relegation and just cancel relegation, of course they will vote for that, and that's kind of what happened. So there's a big difference in what the fans of Argentina football think about how the tournament should be and what the directives think. It's completely opposite, and it's kind of ruining the local soccer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's a weird decision. Not the first time we've seen weird decisions when it comes to the first division or just Argentine football in general. Paulo Miguel is saying that was a political decision by Tapia, the AFA president. Could have been in all likelihood. BC saying it's ridiculous and that 20 is more than enough. And Varun talking about how it's making it look like the NBA. In all likelihood, this probably won't last for too long. You never know. The rules continue to change, as you said.
Yeah, that might be something positive about this the AFA, that is that they change every single year. So who knows? Maybe in the future, in a couple of years, we'll go back to 20.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed about that one. Going back to the team for the November World Cup qualifiers, Perez is back in. No Marco Senesi. Senesi's been in great form. One of the better defenders in the Premier League with Bournemouth. This one is very surprising to me, Osvaldo. I don't know what everybody in the chat thinks. I don't know what you think. This is surprising. I was not expecting this.
Me too. I think Newen Perez. It's good for him to be called up. He's doing a good job in Porto, starting most of the games. In my opinion, I think maybe of those that are in the chat might agree. I think it's the time for Petzela to leave the national team and Senesi to be called up. Of course, that's not a decision Petzela has to make. I mean, if I was Petzela and they continue calling me, yeah, I'll continue to go. But I think Scaloni has to put Senesi over Petzela, and yeah, have players like Neuen Perez, even Facundo Medina, to continue having some minutes with the national team.
Yeah, this was surprising for sure. Look at Perez. The last time Perez played with the team, or I guess was called up for the team, was this year. It was before the Copa America, the 3-0 win versus I was going to say Estonia versus El Salvador, where he played as a right back, and he's more naturally a center back. Played as a right back. He's been good. He hasn't been bad this season. I've been trying to follow his progress as much as possible. He's been solid. So I'm happy to see him in the team. It's not that. It's more of the why is Senesi being left out? Senesi only playing once for Argentina. That was versus Estonia back in 2022, the match after the Finalissima where Argentina beat Italy. So I don't know what more Senesi has to do. I agree with you. I would maybe expect Petzela not to be called up. I would take Senesi over Petzela. Nothing against Petzela. I thought he did well versus Colombia when he played, and then the following match. But at one point, if you look at form, Senesi's form is better than Petzela. It has to be said.
Yeah, and one player, with all the respect to Argentina football that we were just talking about, one player plays in the Argentina league, another player plays in the Premier League. And that's a big difference in the end. If you take into consideration the 26 players that won the World Cup with Argentina, only one, which was our second or third goalkeeper, Franco Armani, was from the Argentina league. So that tells you a lot about the level of the Argentina football.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And, looking at the defenders in the team or the center backs, we have Cuti Romero, who is not 100% fit, right? So he's not 100% fit. You have Petzela. You have Leo Balerdi, very good with Marseille. I'm super happy to see him. Otamendi, one of the veterans. We know he's going to continue to get called up. You get Perez, and then you have Lisandro Martinez. And that's, I don't want to say that's it. That's a significant amount of center backs for 2 matches. But surely there's a place there for Senesi. That's kind of what I'm getting at. There has to be.
I agree. I fully agree.
Let's take a look at the chat. We'll see what everyone's talking about. Paulo Miguel, Senesi's on fire. That he is. Varun, Bournemouth defeated, Manchester City, Arsenal, and Senesi was sensational. Maybe Scaloni doesn't watch the Premier League. Paulo Miguel, sorry on Julio Soler. I've not seen him have a bad game at Lanús. Another player. John, this is another one for Senesi. We did almost lose him to the Italians. Let's not forget, prior to the Finalissima, at the time, I believe it was Roberto Mancini, the Italian national team coach. He had reportedly contacted Senesi and told him that he wanted to call him up for the Italian national team. And Senesi said, no, I want to play for Argentina. He got called up and played his first and only match so far versus Estonia in a 5-0 win, I believe, with all 5 goals being scored by Messi. John, I would sit Guti out of the qualifiers and bring Senesi in. Look, if there's ever 2 matches where you might be able to rest Guti Romero, especially due to injury, these are not too bad. Paraguay, or especially Peru at home, not bad. And Argentina have the quality, have the depth, but in Scaloni we trust, right? In Scaloni we trust. And Paulo Miguel is saying Balerdi is also the captain of Marseille. He's been there for some time. He's done well.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he's done well. He's done well since joining them from Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund. All right, talking about players doing well. One of the more in-form Argentine forwards or Argentine strikers, Valentin Castellanos, he gets called up after missing the qualifiers in October. What do you think of this one, Osvaldo? Deserved, I would think.
Yeah, well deserved, totally. He's been scoring goals with Lazio, and I really can't think of another striker in his place. I think he deserved the call up. We know that he is after Lautaro Martinez and Julian Alvarez in that consideration from the coach, but who knows? Taking into consideration how we play with Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez, and Messi last time, I wouldn't be surprised if Scaloni decides to start with those 3 maybe on top, and then Valentin Castellanos can be that first striker to come in, from the bench.
Yeah, I mean, as you just said, we saw that versus Bolivia with those 3, and it worked very well with all 3 of them scoring. We could see that versus Paraguay and Peru. We could see maybe a 4-4-2 or Messi on the wing and Lautaro or Julian in the middle, and then maybe Garnacho on the left, depending. Let's not forget, Garnacho is really the only out-and-out pure winger we have in the team right now, with Nico Gonzalez out. I feel like Castellanos is, as you said, he's like our 3rd choice forward, 3rd choice striker, and I feel like he's replaced Beltran. Yeah, I think Beltran's time with the national team, at least for the time being, he hasn't been called up. Castellanos, the one that has been included. He has 7 goals, I believe, this season with the Lazio. 5 of them in the league, 5 in 10 games, 5 goals, 3 assists for Lazio in 10 matches. That's a very good return, just overall considering everything. A well-deserved call-up. I don't know what everybody else in the chat thinks, but well-deserved for him. Paulo Miguel, well-deserved on Castellanos, intelligent striker. Yes, and yes. Santiago, welcome, Santiago. We're doing well, my friend. How are you? Thank you for joining us. I'm watching the game between Instituto and River Plate. I just entered YouTube and seen you live. Thank you, Santiago. I believe it's the first time we see you here, so thank you for joining. Hit the like button and subscribe button if you haven't already. So much love and thank you for joining. Now, let's continue. We're going all over the place here. We're continuing on, and 2 players that had very, very good October World Cup qualifiers, specifically versus Bolivia, Nicolas and Thiago Almada. One playing very well in Italy, one playing very well in Brazil. I don't know what everybody thinks. Osvaldo, I think this is much deserved for both of these 2 players.
Yes, and I really hope to continue seeing them as a constant, through of course this collab and then the next couple of collabs in the following year. Hopefully they'll be able to have some minutes as they had in the past double match day, because you know how Scaloni sometimes decides to bring some or call up some of the youngsters like Matias Solé, even Buonanotte. But these 2 in particular, I think these 2 are going to be appearing in the list of Scaloni in the future as a constant, and I'm very happy about that.
Oh, super happy. I was hesitant when it came to Nico Paz because I truly thought when he was called up last month, I thought he was going to get called up and he'll train with the team, but he might not be, called up to the actual matches. He might not make the bench. So I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, when Nico Paz was substituted in versus Bolivia and was really a very, very good player, one of the better players even, dare I say, in that match, despite coming on as a substitute late in the game. So good for him. Thiago Almada has been in great form. Yes, this is an Argentine, live discussion, but it has to be said, the Brazilian league is the best league in South America, and he has been very, very good. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Osvaldo, also in the final of the Copa Libertadores. So
I was I was gonna check that. I'm almost sure. Yeah, with
yeah,
Botafogo,
Botafogo is in the
he's
final
been
at
doing
River
really
Plate
well.
Stadium at the Monumental.
Yes, Botafogo against Atlético Mineiro. A final that we have in Mineiro. I think it's Rodrigo Bataglia, the Argentinian, Fausto Vera, um, and then in Botafogo, if I'm not mistaken, it's only Thiago Almada, the
Just
only
Almada, yeah.
Argentinian.
So in
No,
Argentine,
Almada
yeah.
and Alexander Barbosa, a center back.
Ah, Barbosa. Okay. Well, let's not forget on the other side, Gabriel Milito as well, the coach. So
Yeah.
guaranteed, an Argentine player will lift the Copa Libertadores trophy later this month. I believe the finals on November 30th. It's now a one-legged final and not two, which I'm not a big fan of, but you know, it's the way it is right now. But in Argentine, we'll be lifting the trophy at the Monumental. Oh, and speaking of which, we can also discuss this. Argentina versus Peru at La Bombonera. Osvaldo, your stadium, Boca Juniors stadium, and not at the Monumental. The last time
Yeah.
Argentina played a World Cup qualifier at La Bombonera was actually in November of last year, or sorry, December of last year, versus Uruguay. Or so no, November of last year, excuse me, versus Uruguay, the 2-0 loss. So not a great omen.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think that La Bombonera it's one of the best stadiums in Argentina. And I'm not just saying because I'm a big Boca Juniors fan, but also because of what it generates to the fans, even to the players. That atmosphere it's incredible. It's also in Buenos Aires, which I believe I heard a couple of times that it's what the players prefer because when it comes to travel, it's easier and faster to go to Buenos Aires rather than to go to other cities. So also thinking about the comfort of the players, it's good that it's played in Buenos Aires. I think I'm not sure, but the reason why they don't play it in River Plate it has to do with that it's close to the final of the Libertadores, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's the reason. Argentina versus Peru, I believe, is on November 19th, and
Yeah,
the Libertadores final is November 30th. And I believe CONMEBOL had kind of requested and something like that in the sense of they want to keep the stadium to prepare for the final of the Libertadores. So that's why the match ultimately is going to be played at La Bombonera and not elsewhere, as you mentioned, not in Cordoba or Mendoza or in Rosario or elsewhere. It's going to remain in Buenos Aires. It's going to remain there. Let's take a look at the chat. Let's see what everyone's talking about. John, Thiago Almada is only a game away from being a Copa Libertadores champion. His revival has been remarkable because he felt he was kind of stuck in the MLS and not seemed to move anywhere. So good for him. He left Atlanta United, went over to Brazil, one match away from winning the Libertadores. It's not a bad resume. Not a bad resume. Also a World Cup champion as well. Amado Bravado, thank you for joining. Asking, yes, we did. We've gone through Nico Gonzalez. Lo Celso, not so much. I believe he, knock on wood, hopefully he is ready for those two games. Missed the last two games due to injury, but Nico Gonzalez, we absolutely went through for sure. Vladislav, welcome, saying Senesi needs a chance. He does and deserves one. Paulo Miguel talking about how Paz is a baller and about how Argentina's last loss at La Bombonera came versus Uruguay. This is another one, against Peru. I remember in 2018, Argentina versus Peru was also at La Bombonera, and that was a 0-0 draw right before, it was towards the end of the 2018 World Cup qualifiers. Argentina drew 0-0 there. I think that was the last match before the match versus Ecuador, where Messi scored a hat trick.
yeah. Well, against Peru, we have that historic win with Maradona as a coach, Palermo scoring in the last minute. Did I ever tell you I was in the stadium that day?
No, I did not know that.
I was.
With
Yes,
Palermo
I
scoring
was.
at the end.
Yeah, but no,
Wow.
but you know what happened? I think I already told you this, but it was a long time ago. I was at the stadium. I went with my dad. I went a friend and his dad. I was just a kid, right? And we were winning 1-0. We were about to leave the stadium because I think I don't know if it's around the whole world, but in Argentina at least, the home fans have to leave the stadium when the match is over. They have to leave the stadium at least like 30, 40 minutes after the game is ends, because they need the away fans to leave the stadium first so they don't fight or whatever, right? So we were like, okay, let's leave 3 minutes. A lot of people do it. Let's leave 3 minutes before the final whistle. Argentina is winning 1-0, nothing's gonna happen. And when we were leaving, Peru scored the goal, and we were like, we can believe it was a hard moment for Argentina because we really needed that win. And well, we left, and then I remember my dad being listening to the game, and of course we were like just a block from the stadium, and we listened that Palermo scored that goal, but I didn't see that goal in the stadium. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. That was tough. That's why I never leave matches early, and I just can't. I always sit through it no matter what.
yeah.
But that's a tough one.
I mean, I was a kid. It was not my fault. I still remind my dad about that every single day.
Oh,
It
of
was his
course,
fault.
of course, of course. No, I remember watching that match, and uh, this is why I don't eat anything or drink anything while watching a game. I don't know if someone here in the chat is similar, but I remember I had a chewing gum. I had a chewing gum, and then when Palermo scored, I tried to scream at it, like it almost got stuck in the back of my throat,
No.
and I was fine. I was fine, but yeah, that was. I told myself never again. I'm never gonna eat or drink anything during a game. Halftime, sure, but not during the game. But
Yeah.
hey, at least you could say you were at that match, Osvaldo. At least you could say
Yes. Yes. No. Historic match for Argentina.
that. Definitely, definitely. Getting to Jim Futbolista. Thank you, Jim, for joining. Saying the Brazilian league has great Argentines other than Almada. Scaloni needs new left backs. Bernabé and Esquivel come to mind. Bernabé, if I'm not mistaken, was with Celtic at one point. Didn't do too well, the left back, and I know he's in Brazil now. Glad to see he's doing well. Glad to see he's doing well. Ladislav, very annoying teams to play against. John, Argentina's record versus Peru at La Bombonera is not too encouraging. 2-2 draw in 1969 for the 1970 World Cup, and in 2017 for the 2018, the 0-0 draw. I remember that. Almada Echeverri to Europe in January. It's going to be interesting. Amado Bravado.
Well,
Sorry, excuse me, go ahead.
I was gonna say about the comment. I don't know if you read today, Roy, but apparently Christian Medina's transfer to Fenerbahce from Boca Juniors has it's not gonna happen in the end. After a lot of negotiations, there was even a moment where I think it was a couple of weeks ago when Medina asked not to train with the team because he basically was begging the Boca Juniors directives to be to get sold to Turkey, to Fenerbahce. Well, in the end, it didn't happen. They didn't reach good negotiations there, and yeah, Medina is not going.
Look, I'm not too sad about that. You know, I think if Medina's supposed to leave or going to leave Argentina, I'd like to see him leave to Europe. It could be to the Netherlands or elsewhere in Europe. Doesn't have to be, the Premier League. But I think if we were to go to Turkey, nothing against Turkey, but I want to see him play maybe at a higher level league. Because with Turkey, it's either going to be Fenerbahce or Galatasaray. So, good on him if he stays. Why not? Why not? Amado Bravado, there was a recent controversy where a Brazilian commentator recommended, for Brazil's left back, not knowing he's okay. That's an interesting one.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that either. John, yes, 2009, San Martin. Hello, Janet. Thank you for joining. Back in Canada, awaiting Argentine wins in November. Thank you so much for joining us. Oscar, hola, saludos desde Corrientes, Argentina. Bienvenido, Oscar. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. There you go. All right. Of Tom and Jerry, why not? Hey, I love Tom and Jerry. I grew up watching Tom and Jerry. Oscar Romero.
Great show.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. Love the cartoons. Paulo Miguel, Premier League will suit Medina. Absolutely. Hey, I think he could do well. And he just needs a bit more experience before making the jump, but I think he has it in him. Keanu Ruiz, I love the name. Great show. Thank you for joining, and thank you for the support. Now, one last kind of, I suppose, change within the list is the return of Emiliano Martinez. Dibu Martinez is back. That means Juan Musso is out. We spoke about this in the last or one of the last videos where we said or we had asked, is Scaloni going to go back to 4 goalkeepers or remain at 3? Looks like he's going to stay with 3. Debo, Walter Benitez, and Geronimo Rulli, the 3 called up. No Musso. I'm not sure what you think about this one, Osvaldo.
I think we both agree in the idea that 4 goalkeepers is just too much for a list of 26. 3 goalkeepers is good. And I mean, Emiliano Martinez, of course, the starter. Walter Benitez is starting with PSV. Geronimo Rulli is starting with Olympique Marseille. The only one that is not really starting with, in this case, Atletico Madrid is Juan Musso. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, it does. It really does make sense. And I'm glad that it is the 3 goalkeepers, as you said, as opposed to 4. 4 is a little bit too much. I would rather see that 4th spot go to, I said it before, go to a youth player, go to a younger player, let him gain that experience, because 4, I think, is a little bit too much. Oscar's saying Boca won 4-1 at Bombonera. I know you're happy about the scoreline, Osvaldo. I know you're very, very
Yes,
happy.
finally, Gago's team won since he arrived. Hopefully, we start playing better after this game.
Hopefully. Paulo Miguel Musso's on the bench at Atletico, and I don't think that helps. That helps either. Although a great night for Atletico with 2 Argentine goal scorers, Molina scoring the first one and Correa scoring the second one in injury time. But yeah, now that was the list for Argentina for the World Cup qualifiers. They're going to be playing the first match versus Paraguay in Asunción, if I'm not mistaken, on November 14, and then the second one at La Bombonera in Buenos Aires on November 19. That one's going to be on a Tuesday at, if I'm not mistaken, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So Paraguay, Peru, the last 2 matches for Argentina this year until March, where I believe Argentina will play Uruguay and Brazil. Although I could be wrong, but if memory serves me correctly, those are the 2 teams. Oscar, I mean, we know who Oscar's a fan of. Not a big River fan is Oscar. Obviously not with everything. With the comments. Paulo Miguel, yes, thank you so much, everybody. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. We are going to be live more often than not. Osvaldo, before we completely wrap things up, any final thoughts? Anything you wanna mention?
I'm excited to see who's gonna be that 26th player that replaces Nico Gonzalez. If you ask me, it might be even Acuna or Valentin Barco. I think it's gonna be a left back. That's just my opinion, or someone that can play in that left side. Even though I would like to see a player like Angel Correa. And just excited to see Argentina play again. We're first in the standings. It's super nice always when we are there. We have 22 points. Colombia is then with 19, and then Uruguay, Brazil with 16. So hopefully we can have 6 points in this double match day. I think we can do it. Just another couple of good games. I think the South American qualifiers also always have good games. Uruguay against Colombia play Friday, November 15. And then in the match day number 12, Brazil against Uruguay.
Yeah, no, it's always good. It's always good to be on top, of the standings. It's always a good thing. I don't know who's going to be the player to replace Nico Gonzalez. I don't think it's going to be Dybala. I could absolutely see it being a left back, whether that's Barco or whether that's Acuna or anyone else. Personally, I would love for it to be Senesi because I think he deserves to be on the team. But Scaloni could certainly surprise us. Could absolutely surprise us. Let's take a look at the chat one last time before we log off here. George, Aguante Racing, a big Racing fan for George. Oscar.
They're in the final of the Sudamericana.
Yeah, that's true. It's true, yeah. Oscar, a big Boca fan, of course. Joel, that was great. Well done, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Joel, all the way from Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Janet as well. Thank you for joining us too. And big thank you once more, everybody, for all the love, all the support. Love it. Much appreciated, of course, as always. We're going to be live before the match versus Paraguay, well before the match versus Paraguay, and we'll be previewing that one as well, and whatever changes come up for the November World Cup qualifiers. As always, everybody, my name is Roy Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, joined by Osvaldo Godoy, also of MundoAlbiceleste.com. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. Until next time, everybody, thank you so much and take care. Bye, everybody.